Tell me now, sweetie. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Long time no see with our friend Hillis. I'm so excited. I know, and you guys, we are simulcasting from on 4 different locations. My YouTube channel, Hillis's YouTube channel, my Rumble, and Hillis's Substack. Now, unfortunately, my friends, I can only see what's coming through YouTube. So if you are on any other application and you're here, we thank you. You can leave a comment if you want. If for some reason you leave a comment and it's a question and we don't answer it, it's probably because I missed it or Hillis missed it. But as we were saying before we went live, that whatever we can't talk about today, we'll just schedule a part 2 for next week. So
Yeah, because it's been a while.
it has been crazy. This like first part of 2026 has been just so hectic, and this Mercury retrograde has been wild because not anything super bad, but like technology has been really messing up for me this Mercury retrograde, which is that happens. But anyway,
Yeah.
so Hillis, how are you doing, my friend?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, like you said, 2026 has been an interesting year so far. And one of the things that is coming to my mind right away is I don't know if you've experienced it. I know I've experienced it, but others, and usually being the healer and doing the work that I do, I experience things a little bit before others. So it's like I get a first wave of stuff. And so maybe end of June, beginning of July, there was like this energetic dip, like this huge, massive energetic dip where it was like full of emotional space, mental like woes, all of it. And I asked a friend of mine, I was like, okay, what's going on here? What's happening? She's like, yeah, there's like this consciousness, there's this energetic shift that's happening on the planet, which is like there's a space of realignment. And so typically when we have these massive realignments, there is this energetic dip that causes this mental and emotional instability. Because I mean, I was kind of like a big old baby at little things. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I'm watching something and something I've seen before. And it's like all of a sudden, "Ooh," ugly cry too. I'm like, why am I crying with this? And so her and I had a talk, and it was like, okay, I get it. This is what's happening right now. So it's in the space of now when you are in this, well, collectively right now, we are in fourth density, lower fourth density as a collective. Some of us are in mid fourth density, some of us are in fifth density, some of us are in sixth density and higher, depending on what it is that you are working through and working on. But yeah, I mean, the energy shifts right now are crazy because we are in the time to preparing for something massive to happen.
We're ending a cycle. That's what I've learned from like Lou
Mhm.
and like the law of one. There's 75,000 year cycles, and we're coming towards the end of one. And it's wild. I mean, you think about like the end of Atlantis, you think about how hectic that was and how crazy it was. Can I tell you something really funny though, talking about feeling things? I
Yes.
I kind of get freaked out sometimes. I got to trust myself, but I have to be careful about the words I say, guys, because of YouTube. But I was at the grocery store like months ago, and I went to the produce section, and I got this vision in my head of somebody taking like a jabbity doodah and putting stuff into the fresh produce. It was like the weirdest, like stopped me in my tracks, like somebody's putting stuff into the fresh produce. So I just did not get, I came back home and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, Todd. Like maybe this is just like wackadoo, but I just saw this thing in my head. Well, we talked to Lou on the board, and Lou was like, yeah, they're gonna start doing stuff like that to like cause problems, some of the darker forces of the world. And today it came out on the news, you guys. They're telling people to avoid produce because people are getting the shits.
Yeah,
Something
I've been seeing that. I mean, it's been. And the thing is, what's interesting that you say that this has been going on for years.
Re-
Not just, random people, that live down the street going to your local store and doing this, but this has been happening on a massive scale. I mean,
Yeah.
for years. And so, you know, it just bothers me. It
We were
really
just
bothers
we
me.
just get our produce now. Like Lou said, we were pretty good in like smaller towns because they can't cause that much chaos. And but I don't in Atlanta, Georgia. I will not buy produce now in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was just laughing. Todd was like, "You picked up diarrhea, like you literally."
You might as well just go to the restaurant and get food poison if that's the case.
Right. So basically, you just got to cook your like make applesauce. Like you got to cook them thin or. But I was like, okay, my spidey senses picked up that. Why can't it tell me the lottery numbers?
Well, because it's a different vibration, you know
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do. I'm
that.
just kidding. Like, of course, I picked up on the on the shits. Like that. So, so yeah. So be careful, guys. Like there is, it is kind of a spiritual tug of war, is what's happening, and with the polarities of positive and negative. When it goes to fourth, there's fourth. That's when the polarities can't exist together. They have to either go fourth negative or fourth positive.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, I wish we lived because Todd loves to garden. I wish we lived in a place where we had a garden, but we live right in the middle of the city. So even then, I wouldn't trust it because someone could just hop the fence and do what they're gonna do. So anyway, but so speaking of, don't be surprised, guys, if you're in the grocery store and you all of a sudden get this image of people having the shits. So
I mean, this is a good way to start the show,
I
really.
know you gotta laugh, right? Spirituality, like what they say, a sense of humor is the highest level of spirituality, being able to kind of laugh at ourselves. So I
Right.
know when you were talking about crying at stuff you were watching, I was like, oh, Hillis, welcome to having a period.
Ah. Well, in my case, it's the beginning of menopause.
Yeah, well, oh well, you know what, Hillis? I'm glad you brought that up. Speaking of cycles, men actually do get cycles. A woman runs on a moon cycle, so monthly moon month. A man, though, because women are aponic, men are pranic, so men run on a solar system, a solar cycle. So every 3 months, a man has a man period.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also considering that I just turned 50, so I mean, hey.
Happy birthday, yeah, menopause. Maybe that's what's wrong with Todd. No, I'm just
No, but I want to get back to, because you talked about this whole, because we talked about briefly before we got on, was the whole energy split, right?
kidding.
And this is one of the things I've been talking about for years, and it's like almost beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
But we are at a time where things are being deconstructed
Mhm.
and being constructed at the same time. And now the deconstruction phase of this is almost done, but yet still there was construction going on while the tearing down was happening. And I mean energetically, with the parallel universes, the multi-dimensional spaces, all of it, the energetic aspects of you, it's all of this stuff. And so since now we're in the space of oh, that's a good idea. And I love mung beans are my favorite. I love mung beans. But
Mm,
anyway, since we are now collectively and it's fluctuating, but it's more so now being anchored into lower fourth density as opposed to third or higher third density. Some people still fluctuate between the two, but collectively, since we are in this lower fourth density, and I've been saying this for years, that in fourth density, this way station, it is a time now for people to let go of your shit. It's just time to
yeah.
be done with it all, because if you're still
Sometimes
holding on,
literally, sometimes literally, if you eat
yeah.
produce.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, to know, and it is because when we live in that emotional space, the body can only hold so much, and so then it can lead to physical purging.
Yeah,
Whether if it's crying
absolutely.
or shitting, take your pick.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. It's detoxing, right? The body
yes,
is a
exactly.
manifestation of the soul. So when the soul refines itself, it's got to get rid of what it doesn't need anymore, and that's going to come out in a very human way.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what your diet is, if you're like vegan or super healthy, when the And when the energy of the planet shifts, when Mother Earth moves into fourth density and then eventually to fifth density or higher, we have to follow suit. We have to step into that space of alignment with the energy that is around us. I mean, you have to think that since we are fractal beings, fractal of God, fractal of the larger whole of this piece, we all follow suit of that one main force. And so, with the main force being creator consciousness, followed by the celestial beings, followed by planetary energies, followed by so on and so forth, you guys get the idea. It's like this energetic food chain. Think of it that
Yeah.
way. This energetic food chain. So once it happens here, it cascades on down. And since we're in this fourth density space, there are others that are somewhat resistant and clinging on to the old because that's what they know. It's familiar to them, as
Yeah.
opposed to wanting to step into the higher frequency of the fourth density and higher to allow you to begin to start a new journey, because that's what this is. When you allow yourself to let go and create a new foundation, it's moving into, okay, I get it, this is what's new.
Dude, so interesting as you're saying this, like everything works in divine time. This morning, Paul and I did a show on neuroplasticity, which is basically that, right? It's the
Yeah,
physical of changing the patterning of the brain and therefore the body then changing its. And I get that too. I talk about that a lot with my students in live classes here in Atlanta. Sometimes the devil people go through this phase where the devil they know is better than the devil they don't know. And so I get that a lot in the yoga shala. People come in super excited about going on this journey and this spiritual change, and then stuff starts to get really hard, and it starts
yeah,
to be unfamiliar, and so they revert back to what's familiar because the suffering they know the outcome of that suffering, but what
right,
is this new? And it's interesting because sometimes when we're on the precipice of change, that's when we come the most resistant to that change
yeah,
because it's new, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, and I think that's where I think a lot of people kind of come in and out because, the matrix that we were born into is familiar. We know it's fake at this
Right,
point.
yeah, we're comfortable
At this
in that.
point, it's fake,
Yeah,
but we still people still are they know it.
right.
So,
Yeah, because I think part of it for me personally, because I'm on week 3 now of doing isometrics. Now, this came to me in the middle of a medicine journey, and it was very surprising because for a while I was looking for a way to have physical movement in my day. So it's like, okay, I've done the whole lifting weights thing. I'm over that. I don't want to do that again. It's the whole HIIT thing. That was amazing. I love that. But it's like, it's so rough on the joints and body. That was fun. Okay. Did yoga. I'm like, yeah, yoga's fun, but it's boring. And
especially with traditional yoga, vinyasa flow is not so great, but traditional yoga is intense.
yeah, and so then and that's what I wanted. I wanted something that wasn't intense, but something that I could do within my time constraints, and that was challenging. And so then in the vision that I had, it's like, oh, isometrics. And so
Yeah.
there's a particular, and it started because there's this mountain pose that someone showed me how to do, and then from the mountain pose, I moved into what I feel. I know it's not new, but it's new to me. This particular pose that I call the human cross. And it's very interesting because with this, it's like my whole body is tensed and it
Yeah.
feels so amazing because I'm on the balls of my feet, arms stretched out, fist are clenched, squeezing my fist as tight as I can, holding this position. And so this position, I'm like, oh, okay, and so there's so much energy that is moving through me at that time. I feel so alive and yet flushing out everything. So it's like a detox, and it's happening on the physical level. I mean, I've never sweat like this in yoga, so this is a different kind of thing. And so this is
Well, if you do traditional yoga, you'll sweat your ass off.
well, no, well, I mean, I guess because I haven't found a traditional yoga teacher either. So
Yeah, it's all the vinyasa. I will tell you guys because I get what you're saying because that's my frustration with the Western world too. Any vinyasa flow type classes are not traditional yoga, and I'm gonna show you. So what you're talking about, though, I just pulled it up. Where is it? what you're actually talking about when you said coming up to the balls of your toe. Have you ever heard of Mulla Bunda?
No.
Okay, all right. So where is it? I'm trying to find. Oh, there it
And I
is.
have a friend that has taught me some really beneficial stuff in yoga. Ah, yes,
So Mulla
yes,
Bunda, and this is what I always like laugh because people like to talk about their chakras, but if you're not doing anything physical to move the and physical, energetic and physical uh, fluids, muscle tissue, muscle fibers of the body, then your chakras are non existent. And so many people know about the chakras, but they have no clue about the bandhas. And I don't understand that. I don't understand why. Maybe it's because in the fake yoga world, they don't know about bandhas. I don't know. But Mola Bandha is at the base root of the body. So you said you roll up on the top ball of your toes. The big toe, if you follow, so let's say my thumb is my big toe. So if you're pressing into your big toe and you follow the energetic chain up the inner leg to the adductors, which are your inner thighs, it goes straight into your perineum, which is Mulabandha, which is the root base of Kundalini, right?
yeah,
So when you're locking it in, so the bandhas, and you have Uddiyana Bandha that is basically pulling your navel to the spine and up because Uddiyana means to fly up. So
yeah,
you're locking in the crotch, basically flying up the spine. So this is a pushing up force. Jalandhara Bandha is in the throat. So you're locking your chin down. So the back of the neck is open and aligned with the spine to go up to the top of the head. So those are the bandhas, and that's what traditional yoga really focuses on, is doing an isometric holding is fantastic. I mean, nothing is going to get the neuroplasticity more than an isometric hold of like holding and activating the muscles without lengthening or shortening them, which is a lot of yoga poses do that, and you sweat like crazy.
oh.
Yeah. I mean, somebody wore once a long time ago, somebody wore one of those Apple Watches, did primary series alone, and they burned like 600 something calories just
Wow.
from doing the primary series because it's so active. So what you're talking about pulling up, and when you said rolling, you felt the nerve or you felt that you needed to roll up to the balls of your feet. That was you activating Mulabandha from the
Yeah.
foot. It's like even I say this all the time, like in India, they'll
Mm.
literally put their hand between your crotch to check Mulabandha. And for some reason in India, it's not weird. It's just normal. I'm seeing some reason it's like it's
Yeah.
normal. But here in the United States, I'm never going to do that. So I watch people's feet to see if they're engaged. The arch of your foot, pulling the arch of your foot connects to Uddiyana Bandha.
Yeah, if you and I've been playing with it too with that particular position is if I'm on the outside or the inside of my foot, like how am I balancing? And that makes a huge difference. And
Yep.
so, you know, so yeah. So that's what I've been up to. I've been creating a new foundation as the architect for myself.
Let's talk about that. So let me show you guys. I had pulled up all of Hillis's stuff, and he was like, "Oh, being the smart man that he is, he's just like, just pull up my website because it's got it all there." So here is, guys, and I know that this is already in the
In
description
the
box
chat.
below. I'll
Yeah.
put it in the chat too. I don't know if by putting it in the chat, if it will just go to my YouTube channel or if it will go to all four places, but nonetheless, on my channels, this is all in the description box. So what is an omni resonant architect, Hillis? What is that for starters?
So those who've been following my work for a while know that I have this belief, but I've been a little less vocal in past years about, me stepping into God energy and stepping into the creator consciousness energy. That I have this belief that we are God. We are fractals of this energy. We are this repetitive blueprint of this, which is why Jesus was able to do what he was able to do because he tapped into this creative
Right.
consciousness. And so Omni represents the all, being the all that there is. It is the all. And the resonance aspect is the frequency which we oscillate at, the frequency that we hold, the coherence, the harmony, the foundation of it all, to really be in this container and expand out and honor the self-awareness, honor the self-expansion through the resonance, through the frequencies. And the architect, by understanding my own divine blueprint, understanding my own particular foundation, I'm able to do that and see that for others, is by, you know, seeing the trauma, seeing the PTSD, seeing the abuse, seeing all the triggers that we have allowed ourselves to experience to activate the remembering of self. And that's what that is understanding that your blueprint, understanding your architect, understanding your design. So that way you can too begin to activate certain aspects of yourself. And this is something that takes time and practice. You know, that's why I meditate daily. This is why I now incorporated isometrics into my routine. This is something that is an ongoing process for me personally. And this is what I advise other people to do when I work with them, for them to begin to step into all of everything that you truly are. I mean, understanding the triggers, understanding the pain, understanding the beauty of all of it, because everything begins and ends in love.
Yeah. Yeah. And people have a hard time with that, don't they? I think what I've seen too, Hillis, I've been doing this series now. I'm going through Fritz Springmeier's work from the 90s to
Hmm.
over the 13 bloodline families. And it's been really popular, and I'm so grateful you guys like it and you're leaving all these comments, but I've gotten a lot of comments that you can definitely tell people are like reacting out of fear.
Hmm.
Um, and I've even been threatened myself because I've been accused of promoting some of these families by simply just reading through these transcripts and getting familiar with what's been going on behind the scenes of our world. And so, what do you say to people who, as an Omni resident architect, if someone is like petrified, if they've been raised, especially people who've been raised like super religious, and they've
Hmm.
been taught that there's this one way to get to heaven and that's it. How do you talk someone off the ledge of that fear so they stop reacting like a wild animal backed into a corner? Because that's what it
Right,
feels like. People are being backed into, they're like wild animals lashing out because what they perceived of the end of the cycle to be is not what's happening. So
right.
how do you work with someone that way? Because I know for a lot of people that fear, that old programming of what they've been taught is still kind of creeping up. So how would you
Right.
handle someone like that?
So this is going to be a long answer, just so you're ready.
Yeah.
I have worked with people who have been in MK Ultra. I've
Mhm.
worked with people who have been abused as children. I've worked with many people who have, mostly women who have been sexually abused. 1 in 3 women that's been reported have been abused.
Yeah.
1 in 4 men that's been reported has been abused. And there's obviously more than that. I mean, we know that, energetically. But it's interesting that you talk about this because, I just did a show last month about this, about, religion versus spirituality. And when we are in the space of the familiar,
Mhm.
and if someone begins to challenge our way of thinking, it does bring up the space of fear. Fear of, well, you don't know anything, you don't know better than I do. This is my life, this is my experience, this is the trauma that is speaking through them. This is the fear that is speaking through them, that is trying to keep them safe. And this is what it is. It's their safety mechanism. It's their space of like, no, no. And so it's in that space of resistance, of not being open, because we are so tied to what's familiar. And it's okay. You can be tied to the familiar, but allow yourself to begin to slowly let go of the resistance, slowly be open. Because when someone is in that, as you say, backed into a corner situation, we get very defensive, very feral. And it
Mhm.
is because we're trying to find a way to keep ourselves safe and go back to what we deem as normal. But there's never been normal. This is one thing that people have to understand. There's never been a normal. There's always been change, but never a normal. And this is a collective lexicon term that we use to define who we are, what we are as a collective. And so then, as we allow ourselves to move forward in the space of being less resistant over the period of time, because like the energy, it changes, it shifts, the elements erode, that your heart opens up. And when you step into that space of, it wasn't so bad after all, you allow yourself to see what it truly was. Because the trauma is what we're connected to. We identify with
Yeah.
that traumatic energy. We identify with trauma because we tell our story. We are attached to the story, and the trauma becomes our identity that we can't go anywhere. We can't express anything without identifying with that trauma. We can't identify it because it defined that individual for so long. That's all they know, and
Right.
that's okay. And if they sit in the space of I identify with this, this is who I am. Which is why some people go to these peer counseling groups or these share circles, to have some support. But it only does so much, it only goes so far. And so I implore those who are watching, if you are finding yourself in this space of being triggered by daily events and not knowing what to do, seek help, seek assistance,
Yeah.
because the trauma doesn't define you. The fear doesn't define you. It's just the opposite of love, and love is where everything begins. And you guys, if you guys go to my homepage, if you go to my website, there's a video. If you click on the where it says website for me. So if you guys go to my homepage, scroll down a little bit, I share a very personal story.
Right.
Right there, where it says that, yeah, that there, where it says Vietnam number 30. I share a very personal story of a client experience where it changed how I approach my work and how things truly begin and end in love. Because once we understand that, once we know that, then your whole life perspective begins to change.
And it's interesting. So, what's your perspective, Hillis? I love that. What's your perspective? Like, I'll take my situation for example with this series I'm doing. I
Hmm.
just put my videos like you do up on YouTube. We're not forcing people to watch it. People come by their own free will and hit play. And it's interesting that you get these people. I get these people in the comment section like threatening me, getting all upset when I didn't force them to watch the video to begin with. So it's almost like there's a part of a person that wants to watch it, but then once they get into that mucky water, they then react and start to blame and project blame for their feelings of being threatened or whatever, watching something that is different from what they believed. So, what do you feel like that's kind of the tug of war the person is experiencing of wanting to explore,
Yeah.
but then being offended once they do because no one's forcing people to watch. They click play by
Yeah.
themselves.
Right. And no, this is definitely more of an internal conflict. I mean, we all have internal conflicts,
Mhm.
right? And how they show up and how they manifest different ways. Through the collective conditioning, we've created the space of blame. You know, I don't want to deal with my shit. I don't want to deal with what I'm feeling, so I'm going to blame you for putting this out there like this. I wasn't ready to. You should have some sort of warning because I wasn't ready for me to feel the way that I feel about this particular topic.
Yeah.
And so it's all a blame game because no one's is truly ready, which is why there's this great imbalance right now
Yeah.
between third density and fourth density, which is why, in fourth density right now, people are such an high emotional state, is because there's so much coming up for them personally that they haven't had the proper training or the proper way to deal with their emotions. They haven't had the proper lessons to know what I'm feeling is true or what I'm not feeling is true or how can this be, et cetera, et cetera. So when people approach me with this, with their own internal conflicts. And it's like, well, have you done the work? Have you began to realize what your triggers are? Are your triggers? Who allowed you to behave this way? Could you behave this way and not take responsibility for your own actions, not take responsibility for your own emotions? Why are you allowing yourself to project your drama and trauma upon someone else who has not received that? Because it's all in the resonance and frequency. Because
Yeah.
when we step into that frequency of like, okay, well, is this really my fault? Why am I feeling like this? Because she put that up there. Well, let me think about this. No, people don't think we have created a society, a collective that just responds, that just reacts. There's no time in between the receiving of data and information through the filter of emotional content and then responding appropriately. There's no filter for that. People just react because we've created a culture of instantaneous, that
Right.
everything has to be ready now. I mean, everything now, 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 now. Microwaves now, 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 now. Cell phones have to be accessible. All this stuff we created in the space of now, 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 now. Yes, we have to be, and there's a difference here. I know I'm saying now, 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 but in the spirit space of spirituality, the energy of now represents you being fully present, fully aware.
Yeah.
In the collective sense, now represents instant gratitude, instant everything for what it is that I want. I got to have access to you. I got to have access to this information right now. I got to have access to this. I got to have my food now. There's no window to cultivate the energy of appreciation.
Yeah. That's huge. Do you think we did it better? Like, do you think that because of modern society, Hillis, I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, there's this comedian, and I don't know what his name is, but I've seen this clip come through Instagram a few times where he talks about how mindfulness was not a word until the 2000s, because back in the 80s and the 90s, we had no choice but to be mindful. We had to wait for the bus. We had to sit. We were at a restaurant and a friend gets up to go to the bathroom. We didn't have cell phones to read. We had to sit and wait for our friend, you know? Do you think that this, like, I kind of see it like Sergei Monas spoke about this in the 90s, that we were gearing up to a time where we were going to become very entitled. Like, I'm entitled to something. I'm entitled. And I think when we feel entitled to things, we do lack that appreciation and that gratitude. When we get that, we start to take from other people because we feel entitled to their energy, or entitled to what they, without appreciating the tango that the two souls are doing in that moment. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, I mean, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s, even there was this space, because even when cell phones was out in late 90s, early 2000s, they weren't smartphones. You didn't have access to anything and everybody. Just
No.
like with the pages was reserved for doctors and lawyers of higher professions. You didn't No one had access to you that way. So yeah, you didn't have a choice but to cultivate this period of appreciation, this grace, this energy. And now, because of how society has shifted with technology, which is what I talked about before, is that if we aren't careful, we'll end up being like Atlantis. We have all this amazing
Absolutely.
technology, have all this advancement, but yet there's no spiritual growth. And without spiritual growth, without that balance, everything's going to come crashing down again anyway. So everyone has to practice mindfulness, is a word I never used because I didn't have to, because it's just who I am. I mean, I'm not on my phone 24/7. I'm on my phone when I need to be. It's just one of those things.
And that's even today. Like, even before I was on YouTube, I was able to respond to like text messages in a pretty adequate amount of time. But you get this, Hillis. When I first got on YouTube, and now I think people who text with me understand, like, when I take a while to text back, it's because I'm in a live show most of the time, right? Like, I'm literally cannot
Or
text
in a class.
or in a class or teaching. And most of my friends that are in my phone, you included, know that they don't get offended when it takes me a couple hours to respond. But I feel like there was a time when I first got on YouTube where people were like that, where they get really mad at me because I didn't respond right away. And it was like, I was on a live show. Like, I couldn't, my cell phone sits face down and the volume is off most of the time because I don't need to be on my phone texting while I'm on somebody's show or somebody's on my show. And I feel like, again, yeah, that was just understood in the 80s and the
Yeah.
90s because we didn't have cell phones. You would call somebody's house and leave a message on their answering machine.
And they
There were
call you when they got ready.
exactly. There were respected boundaries, like, or I people laugh, like, when we were kids and we would call our friends' landline of their house to speak to our friends, and their parents would pick up. And as like
Hmm.
8, 9, 10-year-olds, we would have to have a full-on conversation with our friends' parents. Yes, Mrs. Thomas, school is going great. Yes, my parents are fine.
Yeah, exactly. You just didn't call and talk to your friend. No.
No, you learned manners and how to respect your elders because the parents would hello, Mr. Thomas is paid, like I would, you'd have to learn that respectful grace of how to communicate with people, which yeah, now things are so do you know what I saw? What's so funny? And
Accessible, yeah.
they're so accessible. You're so accessible to people. And I saw that Gen Z, the new generation that are adults now, is telling us millennials, elder millennials, and Gen X that doing the thumbs up, like on a message, is passive aggressive. I know, like they're like I do the check thing, a thumbs up a lot. Like if I get someone's message and I want them to know I'm cool with it, and I'm in the middle of teaching or something, I'll just do thumbs up and stuff. But apparently that's passive aggressive.
Well, and so and this is the thing, and this is what is interesting. Now that I'm older, now that I'm in my maturation, because biologically, at 50 is when you are a fully mature human.
So I'm still thank you. That means I'm still a teenager.
Yeah.
43. So I'm still that's amazing.
Because I mean, this is because at 25 is when the brain matures, right?
Yeah.
So then it takes another 25 years for the whole physiological body to be a fully mature human. Most people don't know that. And so now that I'm in my maturation, now that I'm 50, I'm like, yeah, I'm like a mature man, but I don't look it. And
Right.
so when we have the younger generations, and it took me a minute to realize this, that way I'm Gen X, and then you have millennials, Gen Z, all this other stuff. They were raised differently. They were raised by Gen Xers, and
Yeah.
Gen Xers, we had to learn to be polite and so forth and so on. And so, yeah, we got frustrated with it at times because, I'm tired of this. I'm tired. We pissed and pouted and complained a lot as kids, but we respected the space. And now it's like we're taking that energy that we had as teenagers and raising the children with that. It's like, oh, you're not going to get this, and combine that with today's technology to make everything super accessible. I mean, there's no wonder there's a space of entitlement. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. There's nothing wanting to have the desire to have what you want, because that's part of the law of vibration. When you understand the laws of the universe and how they work, there's nothing wrong with coming into alignment with your desires. It's the manner in which you utilize or abuse them, like anything else.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to say too, I pulled up a separate window for my people on Rumble who are watching just to see if I cannot log. I see you guys. We have a lot of people on Rumble watching right now. But if I pull the show up to look at the chat, it'll mess the sound up. So if you're watching from Rumble right now and you want to go to Hillis's website, please make sure you check the description box, because a link to his website with all of his links that I pulled up is in the description box. That's for the Rumble people watching. So I do see that we've got it's frustrating because with StreamYard I can only see YouTube, but I've just pulled up. We've got quite a few people over on Rumble right now. So just make sure you guys are looking in the description box. And if you have questions, if you're watching on Rumble and you have questions and we don't see them or get to them, I will look after the show is over and we will do a part 2 to answer your questions for Hillis. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I'm just going to put it out there now. We have to do a part 2.
Oh, absolutely. I'm totally down
next
for it.
week, part
Next
2.
week. Absolutely. 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 Do you know what? It's fun. I need to, as you're saying that, Hillis, because I'm considered, my generation, I'm considered a Zennial or an elder millennial.
Yeah, because they're like right there in the middle.
Right there. So like some people say it's 1980 to 1984. Some people say it's 1978 to 1985, this window where we crossed with millennials and Gen X.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with that. I was born in 1983. So my childhood, my early childhood was very Gen X. We had no internet. There was no, when I was really little, it was landlines with the cord, the cellular cordless phones came out when I was like in middle school.
Yeah, like in the late 80s, early 90s.
So we didn't have a caller ID came out way later. There was a time once, so gather around the campfire, children. Let me tell you a story about how once upon a time we would answer the phone and have no clue who was on the other end of the line.
And then what made it funny is that your parents made you answer the phone. It's like, answer the phone, ask who it is, and I'm not here.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Somebody just put it in the Rumble chat for me. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
You.
for doing that.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So yes, yeah, so I get that. And then when I was in high school, that's when, so when I was in high school, we were still using the Dewey Decimal System. We were going to the card catalog, finding like I don't know how to do a bibliography for the internet. I only know how to do a bibliography for books. And then when I got
Yeah.
to college, we got emails at the end of high school. But then when I got to college, it's still the
Yeah.
professors were like, you can't use the internet because it can't be trusted. So by
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
so
That was a big thing.
it was a big thing. And so I graduated 2005 from college. So like now I'm out in the world. Now we've got Facebook. We've got all this internet is starting to high speed. We got the smartphone comes out a few years later. And I was listening to this video, and I have to go back and find it and send it to you. I know I reposted it. I can't remember if it was TikTok or Instagram, but one of those I reposted it, where this woman was explaining the brain, the multi-dimensional concept, a contextual thinking of someone born in the late 70s, early 80s. And you're only 7 years older than me. So I feel like you'd probably be in that window too.
Yeah.
That people born in this particular time, late 70s, early 80s, this one particular time, have a different, like their frontal cortex works differently when they're taking in time. Because for us, we had so many, like for the elder millennials, we had one hit, our whole life has basically been a once in a lifetime historical event. Like boom, 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 from what happened in September of 2001 to then the housing crisis. It's just been one event after the other that has happened. So she was explaining that people in this particular age group, they feel like, and I get that. I have this massive fear of time is running out, time is running out, time. We have this
Yeah.
panic about time running out, which is, I just thought that was the aging process. But this woman was saying, no, it's different than like your parents because you had so many things happen in such a fast time that were life
Yeah.
altering. But you also were, your childhood was in a time that doesn't exist anymore. So there's
Yeah.
like this competitive, not competitive.
Yeah, I can relate to that because I feel like that. I've been feeling like that too. And you're right, it's not just because of my age, just because I know I have a sole purpose to fulfill. I know I have all these things that I want to do. And it's like I gotta get on it, I gotta get it done. I'm like, wait, I'm 50. Okay, I gotta do it, I gotta do it. But wait, I want to live till I'm 120. Okay, I have a little bit of time.
There's
And
so
so
much.
yeah, like, it's like, with the invention of technology, with computers, video games, cell phones, and then the 9/11, how all of this, like,
It
it's
came
like
all
every
and
decade
then
had
you got COVID on top
something.
of it that happened to me and for me, and that ended up actually being a blessing for me with lockdown, but that was right after, like, I had gotten authorized a few years ahead before we locked down, and then I started running my own program, building my own business, and all of a sudden it was gone because my the shala was new. And I mean, that's what put me on YouTube, so I kept moving forward. But I think it just shocked a lot, for my age group when lockdown happened. We were in our mid 30s, and so a lot of people in my age group were really starting to build their empire at that time, and then it all just kind
Yeah, I
of went away.
mean, that was me in 2008 when I was building my graphic design business. People don't know. I mean, I was in graphic design. I did customer service. I did a lot of things. I mean, and I think that's one thing that with our age group, that we've never just done one thing. We're very
No, never.
versatile.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've done many things just to be that. And,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because I'm sitting here thinking, like, what other things happened in my life? And then it's like, wait a minute, if I'm flashing to over the weekend, no, well, Thursday, where I had this vision of me being in the Orion Wars as this great, magnificent healer. And this was like a sign for me. It's like, Hillis, you got to get this going. You got to, speed it up. And so it's insight, it took up in that space of fear. And I'm like, no, I have to relax. I have to calm the energy and realign myself. So that
Yeah.
way, when I am of service at this high capacity, I'm able to fulfill my purpose with ease and not with any space of trepidation, anxiety, or fear.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think that that's the kind of the tug of war, the opposing forces, I think, between being utterly human, but also being a spiritual being as well. And you're living in those two existence, which causes, again, that tug of war, which the Yoga Sutras speak about, because that's what causes the friction of like being an immortal spirit living in a mortal body. And,
Yeah.
and I think too, speaking of that, like, I think for our generation as well, you're right. We've never been the generation or the group of people from our birth group forward to be able to do one thing. Our parents, they did one thing. They had their career and that was it, and we even see that it's almost like the accumulation. Like when I was in high school and I was preparing to go to college, at that point the ante was being upped. Like it wasn't
Oh
just
yeah.
the SATs, it was the ACTs, it was how much, after school activities all this kind of stuff. How much money did your parents donate to a particular school? And then afterward, when I was going back and forth to India, and when I would be at home years ago, I would like tutor and babysit like between my trips to India. And there was this group of this family. I loved working for them. They had three little girls. They were so cute. But as the older child was getting older, it was like the demand that was being put on children at a very young age to be these high achievers in order to get into a college, to accumulate debt for a degree that isn't going to get guarantee them a job anyway. And then on top of that, they got to get their master's. And it feels like we're having a natural combustion of that at this point, which I'm glad about.
Yeah,
Like,
it's about to.
yeah, more and more people are going to trade schools now instead of that. And I will say I'm so impressed. Paula, my business partner at Fusion Body down in Australia, her oldest child was telling me that she wants to be like an electrician. She's in high school right now, what we would call high school, but she wants to defer going to like university and learn how to be a female electrician. So, because women trust other women. And I thought, wow, this is refreshing. This young child is like finding that path instead of going through all these hoops and making all these achievements. She literally
Yeah,
used her common sense and was like, I can go to this trade school, learn how to do this, and make a really good living. And other women trust other women to go into somebody else's house as a woman to help them with their like. And I thought, well, wow, we have come fully full circle now back to like our grandparents, when our grandparents just did common sense stuff, you know?
yeah. Because I mean, growing up, it's like, are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be a lawyer? What high profession are you going to live in? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to do that, but I have to do something.
Yeah. I think after all that, the amount of trauma, I will say trauma, that
Yes.
our generation has been through globally, people are the good news is I think people are looking for jobs that not only pay the bills, but also fulfill them as well. Because
Yeah.
life is too short. Life is too short to be an accountant if you don't like being in it. If you like being an accountant, great, awesome. But if you don't, like that causes, I mean, think about that, Hillis spinning. I've done that, those jobs I didn't like that cause depression because you're so miserable
Yeah.
majority of your
Yeah.
day. And what kind of a life is that to live? You know,
Yeah, it's not. It really isn't. And and I see this week in and week out with people that I work with. People, because they are trauma filled.
yeah,
As a collective, we are living in trauma. We have our collective trauma, then we have our individual trauma.
yep,
And that individual trauma is what keeps us from venturing out to what feels safe or what is allowing us to be better, to do better, to have more. And everything, and all of this stems from childhood, and people don't understand that from age 0 to like 7, that's when we absorb the most trauma.
yeah.
Sometimes we get trauma sometimes later in life, in our adolescence, but in that time of our youth, all of that cascades and ripples into our adulthood, and our what we receive, what we experience at children and adolescence governs our whole adult life.
Absolutely. We're still just little kids trying to figure it out. It's so funny. I was just saying, I don't know what your birth order is, Hillis, but I was the firstborn. And
Well, I'm
I've
a
been,
only.
you're an only, okay, that's totally different. I am, I've been like doing a lot of research into firstborn trauma.
Mhm.
That's a real thing because as one comedian said, you're born to people who aren't parents. Like you're born
Mm.
to people who are not parents.
Yeah.
So they're learning how to be, so your siblings, like my siblings underneath me, they were born to parents. I was not born to parents. I was born to 25-year-old kids. But my
Yeah.
sister was born to parents. By the time she came around, they knew how. I mean, I think about that too, like how that affects the human psyche. Like I was looking back at pictures of in my baby book just a while ago. When we were moving, I was going through stuff, and I realized first and foremost that I was my parents' Saturn return. I was
Ah,
doing math, and
I'm
I was
going through mine right now.
your second one. I was like, you're welcome. I came in and I was their Saturn return, even though they don't know anything about Saturn return because they're, white people from the South. But I was looking at pictures of my dad like holding me, and he was like he looked like a little boy. And I was
Yeah.
like, that little 25-year-old kid had no business having a child.
Yeah, well, you know what I read in most indigenous cultures, the young kids, the 20, 25-year olds will have the babies and
Yeah,
the elders would raise them.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And so what this reminds me of, and I know this is an interesting comparison, but this is very interesting when you said that and I thought about this, is that this for me, since I'm a only, is almost every first experience I ever had, especially with plant medicine. When I had my first plant medicine experience, I read everything that I could. I took in all this information. I did this, I did this, I did this, did all these things, but I still wasn't ready.
Yeah, I know.
It
Well, that's
wasn't until my second or third time, and I felt like, oh, this is what it really is. And
that's
s-
why there's
and
yep.
yeah, exactly. And even when I sat with a shaman, I got it. But then when I started doing journeys on my own, whole other experience. And so no one truly ever is ready for the shift. You can say you're ready, you can be emotionally prepared, you can say and feel and be and do all these things, but until you actually walk in it and truly experience it, you're never ready.
Yeah, I know. Well, like as you said, that's exactly that ding 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 of like first time parents.
Yeah.
They're not and you learn the more you go through experiences, the more you learn like what battles to fight and what battles not to fight too. Like what is worth fighting, is not worth fighting, and I think the first time aspect of things in life can cause undue trauma sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's why, talking about when you weren't ready, I was thinking about that too, like for the older children out there as well. A lot of oldest children get parentified when they start having siblings. They start becoming a parental figure as well to their younger siblings. And I'm sure have you gotten that before, Hillis? People who have a lot of trauma from being parentified when they were kids
Oh
themselves.
yeah, all the time. I mean, trauma is trauma.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to ask a question out to the audience, and you guys could answer, and if not, maybe Bryce could check the chat later. But when was the moment that you realized that you wanted to change? When was the moment where you felt you had a trauma and you wanted to change that? Because that's really important. Because if you begin to recognize, I mean, if you begin to recognize the trauma and the signs, because for me, my aunt had to point out to me that I was depressed. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Me depressed? No. And so when you know what to look for, you begin to see it and recognize it, and because the emotions
Yeah.
have the same patterns, the same cycles. It has that blueprint of, well, you're feeling a certain way, and then someone who's been there, they know what they see to recognize it, and so
Yeah.
that's how that comes up. And so if you guys want to share, thank you. I'll
Yeah.
answer, but if not, I understand because trauma is very personal.
There's something I read a few days ago and I thought it was interesting, and they're talking about little girls. And this is across the board, like little girls from white families, black families, Asian families, wealthy families, poor families. If you have a little girl in your life, a daughter, a niece, a friend, a cousin, a sibling who is a perfectionist, who is
Hmm.
making straight A's and and takes a very responsible approach to school, you need to get that little girl to a therapist ASAP because that's a huge sign of major depression in a child.
Really?
Yeah, the perfectionist child, especially for little girls.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know what's interesting too? You say that for a while. You know, part of my personal story is I know there was something going on in my family when I was in second grade. Right, I knew there was like this emotional disconnect. You know, this family battle and trauma and everything. And I didn't realize, I didn't realize this till I was much older. That I mean, I didn't realize that actually till after I graduated high school. So maybe like in my 20s and 30s, I didn't realize this. That psychologically, your grades are affected in school. I mean, whatever it was I was going through, second grade was like a big thing for me. Then I looked at my report card. I'm like, because I've always been considered myself a smart person. But then I
Absolutely.
looked, but then I looked at my grades from high school, and I'm like, from second grades, I'm like, wait a minute, D, F, a C. I'm like, what the hell was going on in my life? And then
You
I
are
begin.
connected to programming.
But mind you, I was going to a Catholic school at the time, so being in the Catholic school was like, ugh, But then I began to remember what was going on in my life, which was custody battle, and I wouldn't necessarily say a custody battle. It was like more my mom arguing with my aunt and my grandma. This whole back and forth. It was like a whole big thing, and then 11 years ago, almost 11 years ago, this summer, I met my. Sorry, I just realized what today was.
The 14th.
Yes, and I'm 8 days away from my mom's birthday,
Oh,
and it would be in 2 months from now is when her anniversary of her passing is.
oh wow.
Yeah, and it was 11 years this summer when she passed and met my biological father, and so
That's
wow.
powerful.
Um, wow. Um, it's just one of those things, that because the reason how it came to me is because of what my dad told me. When my dad and I was first beginning of our relationship, it's like, yeah, I knew about you. It's like, well, if you knew about me, then what the hell? And
Yeah.
so, but the thing is, I was a summer fling baby. My mom was seeing somebody, my dad was seeing somebody, my dad was almost engaged to his first wife. And, just one of these things that things just wasn't lining up. But the thing is, after I met my dad, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad my mom raised me.
Yeah, sometimes you realize why adults make decisions that they make. Yeah. You know what? Today is also it's kind of powerful you said that, Hillis, because today is also my late grandfather's birthday. And he had a near-death experience. He was very spiritual. And it changed him. His near-death experience like absolutely changed him. And he was like 6'5". He was a big guy. And Todd met him before he passed for the second time, for the final time. And he was like, Ed knows things. Like he had that presence of like knowing. So today must be the stars must be aligning today for us to do the show because that's heavy stuff to.
Yeah, I mean, and just to give you all this a quick history, I was supposed to meet my dad when I was in high school. No, no, no. My mom told me about my dad when I was 14, who my real father was. And then I was supposed to meet him twice in my life. Never happened. And I had his email address, I had all his contact information.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, by the time I'm 30, if I don't meet this man, I'm done. Done. There's no need. Because I've contacted him several times, before then, and it never happened. And I told him this. And when my mom passed when I was 39.
That's young.
No, no, no. I was 39.
I
It
mean,
was
it was
my,
young for you too to be
oh
39.
yeah, my mom was 60 when she passed.
Oh, that's young.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. My
young.
mom was 60. And and I told my dad all of this. And I said, if I don't meet him by the time I'm 30, I'm done. And so I meet him when I'm 39. So like for 9 years, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting in how life works and how let me rephrase that, because this is a 3D terminology. And by the way, I am working on some t-shirts that say that so 3D, because it is. Um, because that moment and me realizing who he was and realizing that everything happened in my life because I orchestrated it so. I deemed it so. From the moment I incarnated and chose my soul family, we all came together and orchestrated this because on a soul level, people know who I am on a soul level. I mean, I'm this great healer. But and this then we have to get into this for part two, because as I discovered last week, I had this vision of how souls are born over 10 years ago. And then last week, that vision was concluded by the subsequent vision, me going back to the birthplace of souls, waiting for the midwives to come to retrieve me when I was ready to make my choice
Yeah.
to be here. And then fast forward into the aspects of my life to where I was this great healer when I was in the Orion Wars. But I had guards around me because I needed to keep, if anyone has ever played Dungeons and Dragons, you know how important the healer is. I was that guy where I had protection around me to keep me safe so I can help heal who needed to be healed.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to the time I was in Mu, to where I was the emperor of the first civilization. And we talked about this in the Mu series.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to the time when I was at Atlantis, to where no one believed me to what was happening. And then fast forward to my time in Egypt as a high priest and priestess, yet again following the same pattern. And then after that life, I was like, you know what, I'm done. If no one's going to believe me, I'll just serve other people. So I've been living lifetimes of servitude, being in the shadow. But now I'm tired of being in the shadow.
It gets cold in the shadow sometime. It gets cold.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and we would call that in yoga a samskara, like something that's been grooved in each lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I know you have a client that you've got to get to, so that's why we keep saying part two, guys. So is this good to tease them for next week?
Yeah, I think this is good. And for those who are watching, can I make a couple of announcements?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
uh, so if you guys want more of me without Bryce, um, just hop over to my YouTube. I do a live every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This month's theme is about trauma and really diving into that space. And these are my personal stories and monologues. And it is an extension of my Being Omni series. So you guys hop over, join me live every Thursday, come with your questions, and I'm more than happy to be of service. Two, if you go to the links that's in the description and in the chat, guys will see this Saturday, I'm going to be a part of the Star Seed Summit that is absolutely free for you to join. They do ask for donations if you're able to, but we're going to be going over a bunch of stuff. It's not just me, there will be other presenters for the day as well. I believe it starts at 12 Eastern, I think. I forget what time I'm on there, but I'm on there that day. And then on the Lionsgate 88, I am hosting a virtual trauma to treasure group session for people who are more than who wants to come. You can find that on the website as well. But I'm just happy to, this is why it has to be a part two, because you
Yeah.
and I, we could talk all day. We could probably go
Okay.
for another hour
I love the
easily.
weird shit. I love it. I live for it. I mean, and actually, let's turn it around. What we're talking about is the normal shit. The 3D world's the weird shit. So, the
Yeah.
Matrix is the
I
yeah. So
mean, yeah, because I was on the show I did an interview last night, and I forgot what the host asked me. I forgot the question exactly, but it was something to the effect of, well, how are we moving into this fifth density? I'm like, well, when the planet started, when I was the emperor of Mu, it was already in fifth density. We're moving back. We're going back to fifth density. We're moving into that space again.
it's a re-remembrance of where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
I know that's your thing. Yeah, that's why I said it. I remember. I remember. Yeah, y'all. So we'll be doing this again next week. I guess same time next week. So I'm gonna go and check. It's gonna take a minute for me because Rumble, you got to do some weird stuff with Rumble. And just so you guys know, just and heads up, because we are gonna start simulcasting on both YouTube and Rumble. YouTube allows you to schedule lives like well in advance. Rumble only lets you schedule them like 24 hours beforehand. So I just wanted to put that out for her, especially with like Hillis's shows and other people's shows. If you see it scheduled on YouTube but not scheduled on Rumble yet, that's why it will be up. You know what's cool about Rumble, Hillis? Have you
But
seen? Have you seen? They make you on Rumble, so you guys a little backstage. It's kind of cool though. They make you put up on Rumble like a trailer, and Rumble's not funny about music. So I've been going, I had Come Sail Away for You by Styx, that song for this show. I had that
really?
playing on Rumble, yeah, to advertise this show.
Hmm.
And we've got a show on Thursday that I have not put up yet because I can't because I have to do it tomorrow. I've got Lucy and this guy. It's just great. You can do like all these different songs to like
That's awesome.
advertise, like
Maybe I have
pre-tape,
to get on
you know?
Rumble because I've been because it's like I try to keep things simple. I don't want
Yeah.
to be like all over the place. It's like, here, find me here. That's it. I don't want to be like I used to think like that, but I can't be everywhere all at once.
Well, when you can simulcast, and I will say because I get so shadow banned, I live on shadow ban lane over here on YouTube. So, but I noticed I've gone up by like 300 subscribers. So thank you guys for finding me on just the desert, the desert of nowhere, where I get hit. That's when you know, Hillis. That's when you know that something you're saying must be right because the powers that were or that are trying to be hide you. But Rumble, thank God, is not really that way. Some of my stuff I think does get a little bit on Rumble, but we've got a lot of viewers over on Rumble, so I appreciate you guys. And so Hillis, if you notice that your numbers are like stagnant on YouTube, that you might be my neighbor on Shadow Ban Lane, so it helps to have another
Yeah,
another
maybe I'll look into Rumble then. That's why I started Substack because I can do
yeah.
both on Substack because I can write. So if you guys are
Yes.
following me on Substack, follow some of my stuff because everything that goes up on my Substack is all me. Everything from my poetry to my blog entries is all me. I am since I've relaunched my website, I'm also redoing my blog. So my blog on my website is hidden for now till it's completely updated and refreshed. But yeah, you guys find me. Yeah, see, find me there. Omni Inquiry. Oh yeah, that's where I share my. Yeah, I share a lot of stuff like
Here
personal
we
stuff.
are. Look, we can watch us watching ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm also on. I love Substack too because Substack does not censor anything. And
No.
so I am also on Substack, guys. I use Substack. If you it's that's in the description box below too. I use it as a way to advertise shows. So people say all the time, Hillis, they're like, I can't find like I don't get
Yeah, I
notified.
know.
So I open up a Substack. So if you subscribe to it, you'll get an email a few hours to a day before a show is just dropping or going live. If
Yeah.
it's pre-recorded, it'll
And
be
then
a
you can repost it too
yeah,
once it's recorded.
exactly.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah.
Exactly. So hello, Courtney. Yes. Hillis is fascinating. So absolutely that's what we love about the lives. You can always
Mm,
go back and rewatch it in the replay crew, because we have people, Hillis, we have people from like all over the world here.
yeah, I know. That's the nature of the beast. But I'm looking forward to next week. I think next week we should dive more into the galactic stuff.
Okay,
Because I
let's do
mean,
it.
because I mean I've really been studying more about the Dogon tribe and the creation myth stories.
I
Fascinating.
would love to talk. We've talked about the Dogon before. I would love to talk more about them because it is pretty fascinating. And the fact that, yeah, they don't have a lot of influence from the outside world. Have you found
No,
there's all this stuff online now? They're finding all these civilizations still in like South America who have no contact with the outside
no.
world. And people are like,
I've kept my
contact, just let them be. Like, let them
yeah, yeah. No, I've actually cut myself from the outside world. So I haven't watched the news. I haven't done anything. It's like I cut myself off. I'm like I'm my own little island.
Oh man, I love reality TV too much. That's where I zone out by watching. There's this Generation Next show on Bravo, and there's a few people from Atlanta, and like one of the girls,
Oh, speaking of Atlanta, we
yeah,
maybe we'll talk about it next week. Is so there's this lady that I know from India. I was supposed to go to India over last month, but it didn't happen. Um, I haven't put it up in my all links yet, but it's this lady who is going to be coming to Atlanta doing a group meditation, like massive meditation. It's like $25,
when?
and so,
Do you know?
in October. I sent you the link.
Oh, you sent me the link.
Yeah, in text.
Did you? I got a new phone though.
Yeah,
So
don't worry about it. We could talk about that next week
yeah, send
because
it
I
back to me
mean,
'cause I got a new phone. So yeah, and so yeah, because I would yeah. Atlanta's Atlanta. Atlanta's special. She can be a little slow sometimes, but she's special.
yeah. And the thing is, I'm gonna try to come because I want to see you finally meet you in person.
Yeah. We're right. I know. And listen, if you come, you stay with us. We're right. We'd love to have you. We're right in the middle of the city. I'm not doxing. Everybody's always concerned whenever I say something. I'm like, there's 6 million people in this city. You guys
Yeah, I
fight.
have a couple of yeah, I have a couple of friends in Atlanta. So if I come to Atlanta in October, I gotta tell at least two other people that I'm going to be there so I can see them.
Absolutely. We love it. Atlanta's got there's some cool stuff going on in Atlanta. I will say I make fun of Atlanta a lot, but that's because I'm from Atlanta. Like
Yeah,
this is my hometown. So it's kind of like your mom. Like you can make fun of your mom, but nobody else can.
exactly,
Like
exactly.
we've got the Beltline. We've got in October will be a really nice time. It'll still
Yeah, it
be
won't be too hot, it won't be
it,
crazy.
it won't be like it won't it'll be nice. It'll feel good outside. It won't be
Yeah, I
like
can't wait. So yeah, we'll talk about all of the galactic stuff next week because this was more like a catch up because we haven't talked in like a
no.
really good time.
I know it's been a while. I mean, it's been well, like I said, we moved and it's just been crazy, guys. Like this 2026 came in with a bang. So I'm so happy to have you back, Hillis. We'll do this again next week. I guess same time, same place. I'll come up
Yep,
with
I'm
another
down.
song to put on Rumble to advertise because that's my favorite new thing I've discovered is being able to put music with I'm gonna just fair warning. I'm doing a show on Monday about John DuPont because I'm covering the DuPonts. Oh my God, Hillis, the DuPonts talk about scandal and gossip. Holy shit! But John DuPont actually unalived a wrestler back in 1996. They made a whole movie of it. Steve Carell played him. But we're going to be talking about John DuPont, and I put the chain by Fleetwood Mac. I felt like that very I'm having so much fun with that application on Rumble right now. So just know if you're coming on a live show with me, I'm going to pick a song and you'll just be surprised at what song is going to be used on Rumble to advertise your presence in our community. So
Hey,
anyway,
I'm down either way. I'm excited. I'm happy that we are doing these. And hey, and if you want, just putting it out there for your audience too. I mean, if you guys want to do like a short series about trauma, you guys, we can do that. Also open to if you guys wanted more like private stuff. I do have a school community where we do go into some of that stuff as well. Because right now, as we're sitting in fourth density, all this stuff, all this letting go has to happen. And so I'm happy to facilitate that in whichever way it comes through.
yeah, awesome. Well, we
Yeah.
appreciate you, Hillis, and we thank you
Yes.
so much, my friend. I can't wait for you to come back next week and to see you in Atlanta in October. And you
Yeah.
guys ask if you're on Rumble right now. Whether you're watching live or afterwards, just leave it in the comment section. I typically don't check comments on Rumble, but I will for this to see if there's any questions for Hillis, or just come on over to YouTube and leave it on the YouTube. You guys know what to do. We never intentionally ignore a question. If your question, it's a mistake on our part, so I'm going to try to get everything. So all right, you guys. Well, Hillis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Toodaloo, everybody, and we'll see you very soon. Bye, guys. Stay on, Hillis. After this play, stay on.